this gal from Shawnee. I pronounced the name Cornegie?
No, I do not. That looks right.
Okay, all right.
Senior citizens here. What's our presentation?
Good morning. At this time, we'll call to order the Board of County Commissioners meeting for Thursday, February the 7th. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Commissioner Fast.
Aye.
Commissioner Allen.
Here.
Commissioner Klicka.
Here.
Commissioner Hanslick.
Present.
Commissioner Ashcraft is absent. Commissioner Brown.
Here.
And Chairman Eilert.
Here. We do have a quorum present. Would you join with me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. For those who are present, if your communication equipment is not frozen, would ask that you turn it off or to silent mode, is not to interfere with our electronic communications. And the good news is spring is coming, a few weeks down the road. We do not have any presentations to make this morning, so we will move to the public comment portion of our agenda. If there's anyone present who would like to address the commission on an item which does not later appear on the agenda, would invite you to the podium, state your name and address, limit your comments to 5 minutes, and we'll be glad to receive that information. If there's no one present, the public comment portion of our agenda is concluded. I do have several notes for the record this morning. I will be signing several documents, a partial release of easement for the Consolidated Main Sewer District due to the removal of sanitary sewer lines at West 89th Street and Sagamore Road in the city of Lenexa. I'll be signing 2 partial and 3 full releases of easements for the Consolidated Main Sewer District due to the removal of sanitary sewer lines at Metcalf Avenue and West 139th Street in the city of Overland Park. I'll be signing an agreement with the City of Mission for the public improvement of Broadmoor Drive from Johnson Drive to Martway. Also, an agreement with the City of Shawnee for the public improvement of 75th Street from Schweitzer Road to Quivira Road. Attachment C, certification of non-federal match form for the Department of Health and Environment for the quarter October through December 2018 for outreach, prevention, and early intervention services. And finally, pursuant to KSA 75-5297, the City of Shawnee appointed Beth Cornegie to the Community Corrections Advisory Board through February 7, 2021. That concludes the notes for the record. We'll move to the consent agenda. The clerk will please read the proposed consent agenda items.
Item number 1, consider ratifying the chairman's reappointment of Lynn Garcia to the Civil Service Board through February 5th, 2023. Item number 2, consider ratifying the chairman's reappointment of Jack Poole to the Board of Code Review firefighter EMT position through May 31st, 2021. Item number 3, consider ratifying the chairman's appointment of Bob Willis to the Board of Code Review builder position through May 31st, 2019. And item number 4, consider ratifying the chairman's reappointments of Julie Brewer, Pat Colleton, Erica Razzo, Dolores Furtado, Simon Happer, Lee Jost, Michael McCulloch, Richard Kaiser, and Stephen Tatum to the Criminal Justice Advisory Council through October 2nd, 2020.
Is there any commissioner who would like to have an item considered separately? Is there anyone present who would like to have an item considered separately? If not, it's back before the board. A motion will be in order. Mr. Klicka?
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded to approve the consent agenda as presented. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Commissioner Fast.
Aye.
Commissioner Allen.
Aye.
Commissioner Klicka.
Aye.
Commissioner Hanslick.
Aye.
Commissioner Brown.
Aye.
And Chairman Eilert.
Aye. Motion carried. Moving to the action agenda.
Item number 5, consider approving the January 17th, 2019 business session minutes. Commissioner Klicka was absent.
Do I hear a motion to approve, Mr. Allen?
Move for approval.
Second?
Motion has been made and seconded to approve the minutes as presented. Are there any corrections or additions? If not, clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Fast.
Aye.
Commissioner Allen.
Aye.
Commissioner Klicka.
Same?
Commissioner Hanslick.
Aye.
Commissioner Brown.
Aye.
And Chairman Eilert.
Aye. Motion carried. Next item.
Item number 6, consider authorizing the Sheriff's Office to expend forfeiture funds in an amount not to exceed $250,000 for vehicles and equipment for the newly established investigative task force.
Tom.
Tom Dugan with the Sheriff's Office. This is a request to authorize purchase at $250,000 or less for equipment and vehicles for the new task force that was approved in the 2019 budget. We had planned to spend the funds. The funds are budgeted. All of the expenditures will come from forfeiture funds, but we do need the approval of the board to make the purchase because of the size of the project.
Okay.
And I can answer any questions if you have them.
And as I understand, this will be equipment to support the effort.
Yes.
Okay. Other questions? Is there anyone present who would like to address the commission on this item? All right, there being no one to be heard, it's back for the commission. The motion is in order. Mr. Brown.
Thank you, Chairman. I move to authorize the Sheriff's Office to expend forfeiture funds in an amount not to exceed $250,000 for vehicles and equipment for the newly established investigative task force.
Second?
Motion's made and seconded to approve the request as noted. Any further questions or discussion? There being none, clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Fast.
Aye.
Commissioner Allen.
Aye.
Commissioner Klicka.
Aye.
Commissioner Hanslick.
Aye.
Commissioner Brown.
Aye.
And Chairman Eilert.
Aye. Motion carried. Are there any other action items?
No, sir.
Moving to reports and communications, Ms. Post Oak Ferguson.
Chairman and Commissioners, we have 4 items before you. For the first one, I'm going to ask Brian Pedig to come forward and talk about the tree debris drop-off for the unincorporated residents that Public Works is doing this Saturday.
Good morning, Brian Pedig with Public Works. Our tree debris drop-off, we had 2 sites that we operated at the Gardner Fairgrounds as well as Heritage Park, and people were taking advantage, and we got several calls from folks asking if we could extend that for this Saturday. We may, based on the weather event, do an additional Saturday. And what this does, gives people an opportunity to pick up their debris and drop it off. You can't put it in a landfill, and we don't want you throwing it in the road, so it actually ends up saving us time and money.
Okay. Thank you. Questions?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
I'll use this time to extend, on behalf of the commission, our appreciation to the Public Works Department. The employees that have been putting in quite a few hours over the last few weeks here dealing with the weather. I've had to take a substantial number of calls from constituents, obviously, due to the rural nature of part of my district, and who've expressed concerns and issues relative to plowing and street maintenance, as well as tree debris drop-off. And I have to credit the department over there that they've starting to get the communications program that they've initiated is starting to get the word out to these folks, and instead of getting complaints and issues coming back, we're actually getting compliments geared to our Public Works Department being on target there and working hard to deal with that. So Brian, please extend to the folks that are working on our behalf there. We appreciate it.
I certainly will. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Anything else?
Yes, I would also like to add additional employees. When I showed up at 7:30 this morning, one of the facilities crew was out making it safe for us to walk in this morning, and he had been in here since before 5. So we also have emergency management staff that was up early monitoring and through the night, and Sheriff's Department and others that were helping us. So thank you to Brian's team and the staff that have been helping us make it safe to get here today. Thanks, Commissioner. The next item, it's more of a notification. The State of Kansas Pooled Money Investment Board has notified Johnson County that it has completed its annual review of expanded investment authority and has approved Johnson County for another year. This allows Johnson County to invest funds out to 4 years of maturity instead of the statutory 2-year limit, providing higher investment earnings. And the approval letter is attached. Jeff Sullivan, our cash manager, is here if you have questions. The next item,
I wanted to ask, what percentage of the pool does Johnson County hold in the total pool? Obviously, we must be the major player in that, huh?
We're not necessarily in the pool, we manage our own.
Well, we manage our own, but as
Right.
far as the dollars go?
Good morning, Tom Franzen, Treasury and Financial Management. As far as a percent of the pool, Johnson County contributes about this much.
Okay.
And almost nothing. In other words, we don't have our money sitting with the pool, but we interact with the pool.
And that's the relationship.
That is correct.
All right, thank you.
and while Tom is up here, I'll ask him to highlight the next item.
Good morning again, Tom Franzen with Treasury and Financial Management, and I'm here in my capacity as County Treasurer to provide some information. I asked the county manager if I could submit through her manager's memo kind of a recap of the recent tax season and the 2018 abstract. And really today the intent is to inform and educate the board. We have a few new members as well as the community. And while we do a very good job of collecting taxes in Johnson County, it's a lot of work, and more importantly, there's a lot of people involved that do a very good job, and that includes the community and how they pay their taxes. So with that, you've got the memo there in front of you. I just wanted to hit a couple of the high points so people kind of understand the context. The abstract that I'm charged with collecting is over $1.3 billion, and we issue over 220,000 tax bills to go ahead and collect that tax roll. You'll see in the memo there's a couple of different breakdowns. There's a property taxes by property type breakdown, and really you can see there's two primary components. There is residential real estate, which is almost 60% of the tax roll, and commercial real estate, which is almost 40%. So just in your mind as you kind of think through how the breakdown goes, residential versus commercial, about 60-40 on that. And the rest of the breakdowns are listed there as well. Another breakdown is the property tax by the taxing unit or by the jurisdiction. And as many of you well know, the school districts represent about half of the entire tax roll. And then you can see in descending order there the rest of the jurisdictions and their percents of the tax roll. And then we talk about the property tax payment methods. And this is information I think is very important to point out because, quite frankly, we do the tax collection process very efficiently and cost-effectively in Johnson County. And if you look at the table, you'll see from a transaction perspective, we collect a little over half through escrow. In other words, we interact electronically with mortgage companies, title services. We go ahead and get that money very efficiently. The next would be about a third of the tax collections come through lockbox, and that's where customers or citizens write out a check, drop it in the mail, it goes to the bank, it's handled automatically, high volume, a lot of money comes through that way. We get those dollars immediately and we get that data updated to the system. And then the other item I would like to point out here is really, and it goes to the efficiency conversation, we collect roughly 8,900 through our cashiers downstairs in person. That's less than 5% of the total transactions we collect. So when you stop and think about it, the community does a great job of interacting with government when it comes to paying the tax bills, and that helps us to keep our costs low, which ultimately allows you to keep the mill levy low. And then with that, I'm happy to stand for any questions, but really wanted to just remind the board and the community, we collect over 99% of the tax roll abstract every year. That just goes to show what kind of a community we have, very responsive to paying their taxes. And then finally, I'd like to thank staff. Up here is Greg Baldwin, Deputy Treasurer, but he has a team that works with him to go ahead and do all of this work. They do it in a very professional manner. They interact with the community very professionally, and they should be commended for their work. And with that, it's stand for any questions.
Mr. Franzen, thank you very much. Are there questions? Ms. Fast.
In the last 2 weeks, I've gotten probably 4 calls from seniors concerned about paying their tax, and they've all asked about quarterly payments, monthly payments, and that is not an option, right?
That is correct. We have the 2 half-payment option under statute to go ahead and pay your property tax.
So they can pay half a year,
That is correct.
but there's nothing left
No,
than
not-
half a year.
Not in Johnson County, no.
And why is that not an option?
That's not an option for a number of reasons. We've always had that position in Johnson County that to collect the taxes, we follow statute, which is half payments.
To change that schedule, the legislature would have to act. We cannot change it on our own. We collect every 6 months, or that half payment is by statute. So to do it on a quarterly or monthly basis, the state legislature would have to change that statute.
And Mr.
But you couldn't
Chairman,
divide up. I mean, I understand that you have to collect twice a year, but it couldn't be on a payment plan like you get when you go to your dentist.
The state legislature would have to authorize that. We do not have the ability to do that.
Mr. Chairman, just to be clear, that's our position we've taken in Johnson County ever since I've been here for a number of reasons. From a fairness and equity standpoint, there are county treasurers that do provide some of that, as Commissioner Fass is referring to, but they do that at their own discretion because they are trying to do that. As I mentioned earlier, Johnson County collects over 99% of their taxes on time. It's not an issue in our community. I think, to your point, Commissioner, there are some things that we can do statutorily that are currently on the books. There is the Homestead Act that allows people to get a credit. There's the Safe Senior Act. There's the bill currently that's been introduced that has a hearing next week, Senate Bill 91, that is also taking a look at allowing some type of property tax relief. So there are some tools out there, but quite frankly, we haven't had a problem with collecting taxes in our community. And again, I appreciate the fact that our taxpayers do that.
You mentioned the homestead exemption as well as the Senior Savers Act. And we have sent information to the Majority Leader of the Senate, who requested information as to how they might be able to expand those opportunities. So, Mr. Brown, did you have, Janae?
Thank you, Chairman. I just wanted to echo the sentiments of Commissioner Fast. I, too, have heard from a number of my senior constituents who are concerned about having to do the twice-a-year payment, and I certainly would be interested in having that conversation, especially as our senior population is growing, and they are concerned about paying their property taxes, and that might be one option we could discuss if that's possible.
Mr. Brown?
Thank you, Chairman. I have brought this question up a couple of times as a commissioner about exploring the opportunity for a monthly payment plan for everyone and anyone, not by age. At 50, I don't think I hit the threshold of senior yet, but I did get a discount the other day at lunch. So, but I am not sure why. But I agree with the 2 previous comments from commissioners that I would like to explore the opportunity, and if it requires a legislative change, then we probably need to take a look at doing something along those lines.
Chairman?
Mr. Klicka?
Tom, you're alluding to that this is flexibility that this county has to do by setting up a payment plan, right? You're saying other counties are doing it.
Other counties are doing that. I don't know from a legality standpoint the question, but quite frankly, it's not been our position to do that. And while there is definitely sentiment from staff's perspective that there may be those that are in need of some level of relief on their property taxes, we believe there's tools that are out there. The other thing I'd remind the board, $1.3 billion, if you start talking about making concessions for certain populations, you start getting into the fairness. And if we go to everybody from the whole community standpoint of having payment plans, administration becomes extremely expensive. At the end of the day, it's a cash flow issue for the county. So when you collect over 50% of that tax roll in December, we get those distributions in January. That's money that is then going to pay the bills of the county. If you start taking that and parsing that out, quarterly or monthly, you've now created an operational issue from a cash flow standpoint that we would have to adjust for. So, and while those are issues that can be addressed, those are concerns we would want to make sure we talk through.
Mr. Chairman, follow up here. County Manager, could you, I think you're seeing that there's a growing consensus here that this issue should be addressed. Can you work through staff there or whatever in maybe a study session sooner than later as far as what the options are available to us and what the ramifications of those would be?
I think that would be appropriate. I think we need a full understanding.
Definitely need more information.
Yeah.
For you.
That's possible. Okay?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Happy to do
Thank
that.
you, Mr. Franzen.
Bet.
Anything else?
I have one more item, and that's the major projects update that you see every other month. A couple highlights: Lenexa City Center substantial completion is currently anticipated at the end of this quarter and grand opening in the second quarter of this year. Reminder for the courthouse that starting February 11th through April 18th, the shutdown of Santa Fe, temporary shutdown of Santa Fe Street. So a reminder there, that's Monday. And then on Tomahawk, if you want to see progress there and get a lot of detailed updates, you can go to www.jcwtomahawk.com. So there's a lot of great information there if there's of interest. So with that, I will stand for questions.
Any questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Clifton. I'm sorry.
That's okay. I had a
Ms.
quick
Hensley.
question. This might be more appropriately directed to Joe Waters. I noticed in this report, it talks about the medical examiner facility, and it mentions that there was an on-site neighborhood workshop on February 2nd to discuss landscape solutions. And I know we were having some discussions with the neighbors, and I wondered if you could give us an update on that situation.
I certainly could, Commissioner. Actually, Brad Reinhardt was planning on providing that information to you as a part of the update during the
great.
Public Building Commission.
Okay, wonderful.
So, and I think he has some images that might help.
Perfect.
Too, so.
Thank you.
All right. Anything else? Any other questions? All right. Turning to commission comments, Ms. Fast.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention,
Excuse
thank
me.
you to.
We do have a legislative update.
Oh,
Cindy.
sorry.
Good morning, Chairman and Commissioners. Cindy Green with County Manager's Office. We do have a legislative update today. They've been busy up there, so I've got quite a few more bills to give you updates on this week. The first one is the CanCare expansion bills were introduced, and bill numbers are now HB 2102 and Senate Bill 54 in case people are watching for those. And this plan would cover Kansans under 65 years old who earn less than 133% of the federal poverty level. So we will be watching those to see if they get hearings, but that is one of our top 7 action items that we are hoping to get through this year. Another one that's also on our top agenda is the Capers transfer. The bill, Senate Bill 9 passed, which transfers $115 million over from the State General Fund to Capers. And this actually passed on final action out of the Senate, 40-0. And the House has received the bill, and so it will be progressing through that part of the chamber. The next one is House Bill 2084, and it's amending the 911 Act. We discussed this last week because it was not on our platform, and we took a vote that the majority agreed that we would support this legislation, and we provided testimony in written form from the chairman, and then Ellen Warnicki also was there testifying. There was no opposition to the bill that was submitted, and there was a few people that just went neutral on it, the counties and the cities, and a lot of that had to do with just the different impacts on their different members. So we're hopeful that that will continue to move forward with the positive testimony that was given. Another bill is Senate Bill 2044, and this is one that provides income tax credits for purchases of goods by qualified vendors who have employees that are blind or disabled. And this bill actually passed on final action yesterday in the House, 115-1. It was originally going to be on the consent agenda, and one representative did not agree that we should have a consent agenda in the House, so he pulled it off and then voted against the bill. But we think that will take action over in the Senate also, because they actually had a bill introduced on their side, and they've opted not to run their bill and let this one that was introduced into the Senate from the House come over. Next one is House Bill 2063. This is a property tax lid bill, and this is if a entity within a city or county is integrated into the city and county budget, that you can take that budget with you, and that passed on House final action 102 to 14 yesterday. Next bill is House Bill 2034, and this is a bill that is in regards to supporting adults who want some decision-making assistance, but they don't want to give up their total rights and such. And so that actually has a hearing on the House floor today. A new bill that we've not discussed yet is House Bill 2026, and it's in regards to licensing a fire sprinkler industry. And we are still studying this within our departments, but we feel like this is going to be an overstep of the state of a program that we do very well here with our contractors in Johnson County. So we will probably be reaching out and requesting that we do some type of testimony there. But again, the staff is still pulling together this with legal and the planning department, what our testimony would read. But the hearing is next Tuesday on February 12th in House Commerce.
Cindy, as I understand, our contractors licensing group has some concerns about this bill.
Yes, they do.
Okay, very
So,
good. Well, I think that's probably good advice that we need to follow up on.
Okay, we will keep working on that in the next 24 hours, so we get that in on Monday. So, next bill is Senate Bill 22, and this is the federal tax code decoupling. It had a hearing yesterday in the Senate, and there was actually a motion made to send it back to the tax committee, and it failed, but final action is expected on that bill today. Another new bill that was introduced was the reduction of the sales food tax, Senate Bill 76. And this bill actually, starting this year on July 1st, would reduce the rate to 5.5%, next year to 4.5%, and then the following year to 3.5%. A reminder that every 1% reduction in the state food sales tax is approximately 60 to 70 million out of the state general fund. So they would probably be looking for ways to compensate for that. And I think they are going to look at possibly tying this to some other legislation of tax policy. Mr. Franzen mentioned Senate Bill 91. This is establishing the Golden Years Homestead Property Tax Freeze Act, providing a refund for certain property owners and adding renters to it. This is different than the information that we sent over to Senator Denning. So this is a group of senators that have established this bill. So I'm hoping to talk to one of those senators today to see how what this impact is and what they are looking for. We've already had Tom's department looking at this, and there are some things, some technical, I'm going to call it, processes that would impact us that we may ask for some changes on this. So we haven't really seen the numbers of how this would increase or help the property owner specifically. So new things that we're looking into. Another new bill that was just introduced but didn't have a bill number as of last night was in-house tax pertaining to internet sales tax on digital goods and Cookie Nexus. So watching that one. And then finally, there was a sports wagering subcommittee formed, and they are looking at ways that those revenues may come into the state based on the Supreme Court decision. So we will keep an eye on that committee and what that could possibly do to the state dollars coming in. So those are my report for this week. If there's any questions.
Questions? Mr. Brown.
On the fire sprinkler issue, if you'd please keep me up to speed as we move through that. I have a strong interest in that and will be more than happy to go testify. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Mr. Klicka or Ms. Henslick?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. I had a question about the HB 2044. Ms. Green and I had talked about it a little bit earlier today. That is the bill which would provide income tax credits for purchase of goods and services from vendors that provide employment to individuals who are blind or disabled. And I'm curious if you could keep us updated as to how that might impact businesses or services in Johnson County. I'm particularly thinking of the Johnson County Developmental Supports Artists and Papercrete program. So
We will do that and check in
Thank
and
you.
see if that can impact there.
Mr. Allen?
Cindy, and maybe since Tom Francis is here, do we need to do any type of maybe impact if the property tax for seniors over 65, I think the income limit was 50,000 up to $350,000 home, they would freeze that property tax. And I don't know how, boy, it may be hard to find out potentially how many that would affect, but I know for the county, the cities, and the school districts, to know that impact. And then the other thing is how the implementation of that administratively, it sounds like that could be somewhat cumbersome to do that. But maybe if that looks like it has any legs, I don't know if it does or not, maybe just to come up with an idea how it potentially could affect the counties, the city, and the school districts.
We will work on that. And again, I wanted to talk to the senators to see that, created that bill of what they were looking to do exactly. And if some of the information that we sent to Senator Denning, if that one is not the right avenue that we're thinking about, this other bill of how we could increase those people that
Personally,
participate in the
I
program.
would support what the chairman said in the past, is expanding the homestead seems to me to be a more logical way to qualify more people for reductions on property tax, so.
And we would agree with you there too. We actually sent in some information that would tie it to the poverty levels, and so that we are getting the key people that are impacted with those numbers.
There may be some constitutional questions on the other, when you're talking about freezing certain property values or tax rates, that may get complicated. But anyway, okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
That's not going to get challenged.
All right, now, Ms. Fast.
Yes, I just wanted to highlight on February 1st, the Ride KC Micro Transit has started. I want to thank my fellow Commissioner, Steve Klicka, who's worked really hard in making micro transit available in Johnson County. I printed off my coupon. I'm going to try it in the next week. So I just really want to encourage it because I hope it's a success. Also, we heard a study session last week about a really innovative connection with Johnson County Mental Health, United Health Services. So the beneficiaries that go to Johnson County Mental Health Services have transportation to go to jobs, and we're really seeing some amazing outcomes. So it really shows, and thank you to Tim DeWeese and the individuals at the Johnson County Mental Health Services and the United Health Plan for working together with us on this innovative pilot project.
Okay, Mr. Klicka.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. One issue I'd like to bring up, it deals from the planning side. Yesterday afternoon, County Planner Jay Lepsick and myself had a chance to go out to Stonegate, which, as some of you may know, has been kind of it's an interesting development. It's a car condo type concept, and that's out there. And we're dealing with issues not only of what he's working on now, but also his future plans of what he's got going on. But through that conversation, and to that note, I'm very excited. He's got the track he's working diligently at, with the hopes that within the next 12 months, that thing will be up. And then he's looking at subsequent small development that would be adjacent to that in the time to come. But one issue did come up was that as through the planning and the plat work and things like that, there made periodically there's some minor changes or things that didn't get into the system correct. And we got into a discussion on trying to get those things corrected or adjusted, what the process in going through the Plan Commission and board and all of these things for items that are not notable, have no change in the program or concept or things like this. If we could try to develop a way for our clients or our constituents or developers to kind of work through an administrative process that could, if it requires our level of approval, it could come through a manager's memo or notes through the record. So, County Manager, if you could follow up on that issue, I think it would reduce a little bit of the legwork that the planning staff has to deal with and be able to deal with some of this stuff administratively. And I think, Commissioner Brown, you probably have faced with some of these issues, small issues that have no notable impact on the project, but could be resolved administratively. How can we move that process through and make sure that is done properly and so forth? So if you would look at that and work with Jay, if you would kind of update manager's office as far as what we were finding out, I appreciate it.
I would ask that go one step further, that when the review is in process or has been concluded, that there be a report to the full commission as to what action steps are being taken or anticipate to be taken.
Will do.
Thank you.
Okay.
Mr. Allen?
No comments.
Mr. Brown?
No comments.
Ms. Hensley?
Yes, first of all, I want to echo what Commissioner Fast said. She and I were thinking about the same things, and to promote the microtransit program. I've also had some calls about that people are excited, and I hope people are taking advantage of it. I also wanted to thank all of the employees who exhibited their wonderful art at the Employee Art Show on Monday. It was really outstanding to see their talent, not only in visual arts, but in performing arts. I had no idea that we had such incredible musicians in the county. So, and I just found out that I actually won one of the paintings in the silent auction. So I'm excited about that. In that
Do you have to declare that somehow or another, an ethics report or anything? No.
I'm paying for it, so it's all above board. And in that same vein, I just wanted to do a little advertisement for the Johnson County Developmental Supports Art Sale, which will be taking place on February 11th at the Johnson County Arts and Heritage Center from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. And I'll tell you, the most exciting part of that is not even the art, it's meeting the artists. They are really amazing and fun people. So if you have a chance to stop by on February 11th at the Arts and Heritage Center, which happens to be in District 4, love to have you do that. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. We have a study session scheduled at 11 a.m. in room 200 to review the feedback on the citizen survey. Also, Monday evening, February the 11th, we will have a new Citizens Academy class start. So everyone's invited to join in that opening session. We have a Public Building Commission meeting, which will be followed next. And then following that will be the agenda review. We also have a request for an executive session of 15 minutes duration. We are at 10:07. Let's see if we can start that executive session at 10:30.
Thank you.
Mr. Allen.
I move that the board recess its open meeting and convene an executive session at approximately 10:30 a.m. for a period of 15 minutes for the purpose of receiving the advice of counsel and to preserve attorney-client privilege, and to reconvene an open session in this room at approximately 10:45 a.m. or as soon thereafter as the executive session may end.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded to approve the request for the executive session. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Commissioner Fast.
Aye.
Commissioner Allen.
Aye.
Commissioner Klicka.
Aye.
Commissioner Hanslick.
Aye.
Commissioner Brown.
Aye.
And Chairman Eilert.
Aye. Motion carried. So we are in recess. We will reconvene shortly for the PBC meeting. Thank you all very much. Testing it.
Oh, okay.
At this time, we'll call to order the Public Building Commission meeting for February 7. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Commissioner Fast.
Aye.
Commissioner Allen.
Here.
Commissioner Klicka.
Here.
Commissioner Hanslick.
Present.
Commissioner Ashcraft is absent. Commissioner Brown.
Here.
And Chairman Eilert.
Here. We do have a quorum. Would the clerk please read the proposed, or the current item number 1?
Consider approving the November 15th, 2018 special meeting minutes. Commissioner Fast and Hanslick were not members of the board at that time, so they will abstain today.
Do I hear a motion, Mr. Klicka?
Move for approval.
Second? Second. Mr. Brown, second.
Can he second the minutes that he's prepared as secretary?
Sure, absolutely.
Why not? Now I know what I'm getting you for your
Short
birthday.
term. All right, there being no additions or corrections, clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Fast.
Abstain.
Commissioner Allen.
Aye.
Commissioner Klicka.
Aye.
Commissioner Hanslick.
Abstain.
Commissioner Brown.
Aye.
And Chairman Eilert.
Aye, motion carried. Next item.
Item number 2, project update.
Brad.
Good morning, Chairman Eilert and Commissioners. I'm Brad Reinhardt with Facilities Management. We have 4 active projects that are in progress through the Public Building Commission process. The Lenexa City Center branch of the library, the new courthouse, the medical examiner, and then we have 2 projects under an authorization that we refer to as our major asset replacement program. And I'll touch on each one of these briefly. But Commissioner Hanslick, you mentioned something around the medical examiner and the neighborhood meeting we held this past Saturday. Myself and Janice Phillips, our project manager from facilities, met with all the property owners here, and I have a graphic on your screen. And so the impacted property owners are kind of lightly shaded to the top and to the left of this graphic. And just a real quick background. In order to construct the new medical examiner's facility, we needed to remove some of the stockpiled dirt that had been stored there from some other capital building projects. And so we had planned to construct 2 berms around the county's communications tower to the west of the medical examiner property, and I'm kind of circling here where those 2 berms were. What we failed to do effectively was communicate that scope with the neighbors. And so the first phase of our work in that area was to remove trees. And so this area here was not touched. Our property line is adjacent to those neighbors. We left this amount of tree and brush in place, and we removed trees here and here in this area. So that certainly caused them some concern, and they were upset, rightfully so, and we responded with a plan. We'd always intended to landscape this area, we just hadn't communicated it very well to them. So we've had several meetings, and last Saturday that culminated with really a walkthrough along their properties to go through this diagram, which we gave them, and look at tree placement on the berm, around the berm, looking at sight lines towards this building at the base of the radio tower, and how well we were able to screen it with the berm. So the berms have been constructed, and so we were ready to go out and do that. And once the berms were complete, I think they were satisfied with that the berms do provide screening and our plan for landscaping that area, including planting of trees. And so one thing that this graphic doesn't show, these are the large canopy trees that are represented here, but there will be additional kind of under canopy, I can't remember what they refer to them as, the design team, but there'll be smaller ornamental trees that will also fill in underneath the larger canopy trees. And so these will be 2.5 to 3 inch caliper trees when they're planted. And so we received their buy-off on this plan, and so we'll be able to hit the spring planting season. So I'll pause on that. I kind of went on a little bit long, but be happy to take any questions regarding that process.
Well, you know, thank you to the staff for spending time to work through these issues. And anyway, thank you very much. Mr. Brown?
Thank you, Chairman. Brad, in your meeting and your walkthrough on Saturday, we've got now buy-in from the neighbors?
Yes, we do.
Comfortable?
And we're not closing the door on this either. So as we start planting these materials and trees are in place, if they have additional concerns or feedback, they know how to get a hold of us, and we'll meet with them again to continue to refine as we need to. But yes, I believe we received buy-off.
All right. Thank you very much. Okay.
Just one more quick thing regarding the medical examiner. I thought this was exciting and interesting. This is a precast wall section mock-up that we've got in place on site there, and you can see behind that is the graded site for the new medical examiner's facility. And we have lots of other photos, but I just thought this was exciting because it's something coming up out of the ground. Moving on to the Lenexa Library project. Penny mentioned it in her monthly update, but I just wanted some new information, updated information. We're actually targeting substantial completion for the end of next week. So we kind of said first quarter of this year, and it's moving along very well, very efficiently. You can see we've got the interior finishes nearly completed, and then certainly staff will begin putting in the shelving, and they're acquiring their materials and getting their processes set up for opening. And at this time, I'm not aware of an actual opening, but we anticipate it being in second quarter of this year. And one more quick photo. This is just an exterior view. On the far right there is Lenexa City Hall. So it's taken shape. It's quickly moved forward, and it'll be here before we know it. So very exciting. Then I think also Penny mentioned the courthouse tunnel, so I don't know if you have any questions regarding the plan around traffic, be happy to respond to that. And then finally, our major asset replacement program project, which is really two projects, new roof at the first phase building of the New Century Adult Detention. That project is complete. In progress, we have the Olathe Adult Detention Center elevator upgrades, and that is nearing completion. We're working on the elevator cabs and controls currently, and that should finish up pretty quickly. So with that, I'd be happy to respond to any questions.
Ms. Hensley?
Yes, Brad, thank you for this update. I just had a question because I can't remember how many years ago it was that we renovated Central Booking and redid that. And I just wondered, is this an extension of that renovation, or is this something unexpected, or?
Well, these were the elevators that were in the tower, the jail portion. So Central Booking is the portion to the south that was added on. So they were the original elevator systems as part of the
And is this is upgrading and not replacing them?
Correct. Yes, we're just upgrading the ADA upgrades are included, improved controls, improved machinery to raise and lower the cab, and those types of things.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions? All right, thank you, Brad. Next item.
Item number 3, statement of net assets unaudited, and item number 4, statement of revenues, expenses, and changes in fund net assets unaudited.
Julie.
Good morning, Chairman and Commissioners. Julie Highfield, Treasury and Financial Management, and I'm here this morning to bring you a required report twice a year. We bring you these two financial statements for the Public Building Commission. You'll see in your packets those two statements and some narrative information that I will briefly cover in going over these statements. The first one is the statement of net position, and this is similar to a balance sheet in the private sector. You'll see the assets and liabilities of the Public Building Commission, and when you subtract liabilities from the assets, you get the total net position, which is currently at almost $161 million. The assets are mostly composed of cash and capital assets. So those are the two categories that you would want to focus on. The cash increased quite a bit from prior year because of the issuance of debt that we did in September. $148 million new debt was issued, so we have a lot of those proceeds in cash right now. The capital assets component added to that brings the total assets to $572 million. Our liabilities are largely the bonds that are outstanding on all of our projects. So are there any questions on this statement?
Chairman, I do, Julie, just simple curiosity. And again, I'm not an accountant, so just, when we look at our land and buildings, and we're talking about 379 million here of value there, what is that based on? How do we handle the value of that property? Is it done every year by, is it through the treasurer's office, I mean, through the appraiser's office? How's that number generated?
It's a cost basis, so what it cost us to construct those buildings, and then we do depreciate annually.
So it's
you would
purely
see
a
that.
capital cost of what we put
Yes.
into it, not necessarily a market value?
No.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Brown?
So the value of our buildings that the county depreciates, we depreciate on a schedule, depreciate the value, is that what I heard?
Yes, yes,
Thank
you'll see depreciation on my other financial statement. So quickly, just to pictorially show you what the impact of the courthouse issuance was, our bonds payable has been steadily growing as we are in construction mode. We've been building a lot of libraries and other buildings, but a big jump in 2018 to represent that new bond issuance for the courthouse and the medical examiner facility. The other statement I have for you is the statement of revenues, expenses, and changes in fund net position. Revenues for the Public Building Commission are strictly rents charged back to the buildings we're paying for through the bonds. And then the other category would be any transfers that have come in from other funds to that we cash funded rather than the bonds. So we've got the operating revenues of $45 million, and then our expenses are pretty simple. Also, the depreciation and interest expense. So the change in net position was about $25 million, which ties back to the total net position of the $161 million. Any questions on this statement?
Okay.
And just a couple of slides, informational slides. The sources that pay for the bonds on these buildings come from several different categories, largely public safety for a lot of those buildings, and then county sources for about 44%, and the library about 12%. Transit has a little tiny piece. Interest income, we've been talking about this in other interim financial reports, that we are quite a bit up because of the size of the portfolio and the mix, and also the 4 federal hikes in 2018. Interest expense also is up this year, representative of the issuance of the new bonds. That's it. Any other questions?
Okay, other questions? All right, thank you very much. Next item.
Item number 5, consider nominating a 2019 secretary to the Public Building Commission.
I did have a discussion with Commissioner Henslick prior to the meeting, trying to give her the full expanse of responsibilities. Maybe Mr. Brown can add something to that, but I'm going to suggest... I'm going to suggest that we have a recommendation that Ms. Henslick be...
So moved.
Pardon?
So moved.
Motion's made and seconded to approve Ms. Henslick as the Secretary of the Public Building Commission.
It doesn't take more than 30 hours.
The liability put on your shoulders is going to be immense. It's going to be incredible.
I'm glad to do it.
Any discussion? Okay. If not, clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Fast.
Yes.
Commissioner Allen.
Aye.
Commissioner Klicka.
Aye.
Commissioner Hanslick.
Aye.
Commissioner Brown.
Aye.
And Chairman Eilert.
Aye. Motion carried. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. Put
Next
that in your
item.
resume.
Next item.
Item number 6, consider approving and authorizing the appointment of Gilmore and Bell as bond counsel for the Public Building Commission, PBC.
Good morning, Robin Symes with the Budget Office. I'm standing in for Nate Bloom, who wasn't able to come today. 2 weeks ago, the BOCC approved a contract with Gilmore and Bell. Contract is for a 1-year period with option to renew for 4 additional years, with each year costing $200,000. Historically, the PBC has been represented by the same bond counsel as the county.
Okay. Questions? Is anyone present who would like to address the board on this item? All right, if not, it's back before the board. The motion is in order. Mr. Allen?
Would move for the appointment of Gilmore and Bell as bond counsel for the Public Building Commission, PBC.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded to approve the contract with Gilmore Bell as noted. Any further questions or comments? Mr. Brown?
Thank you, Chairman. Just a point of clarification, this was a competitively bid request for proposal
Yes.
made available to the public and selected? Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? If not, clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Fast.
Aye.
Commissioner Allen.
Aye.
Commissioner Klicka.
Aye.
Commissioner Hanslick.
Aye.
Commissioner Brown.
Aye.
And Chairman Eilert.
Aye. Motion carried. Are there any other items?
No, sir.
All right, we are adjourned from our Public Building Commission meeting, and we will take a short break and come back for agenda review. Obviously, we're going to have a motion later on to amend in regards to the executive session. So we'll be back in a couple of minutes for the agenda review. Linda? We ready?
Are we on? I can tell by the thing we're on.
At this time, we'll call to order the Board of County Commissioners meeting for the purpose of agenda review for next week's business session. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Commissioner Fast.
Aye.
Commissioner Allen.
Aye.
Commissioner Klicka.
Aye.
Commissioner Hanslick.
Present.
Commissioner Ashcraft is absent. Commissioner Brown.
Here.
And Chairman Eilert.
Here. We do have a quorum present. Would the clerk please read the proposed consent agenda items?
Item number 1, consider reappointing Leslie Reverello as the 5th District Representative to the Park and Recreation Commission through January 30th, 2022. Now, item number 2, consider appointing Heather Rebish as the 1st District Representative to the Park and Recreation Commission through January 30th, 2022. Item number 3, consider appointing Robert J. Carlson as the 4th District Representative to the Park and Recreation Commission through January 30th, 2022. Item number 4, consider ratifying the chairman's reappointment of Stephen Biscat to the Board of Code Review Certified Master Electrician position through May 31st, 2021. Item number 5, consider ratifying the reappointment of Samuel H. Turner, Sr. as the chairman's representative to the 10th Judicial Nominating Committee through March 6, 2023. And item number 6, consider approving the reappointment of James A.C. Griffith as the 6th District Representative to the 10th Judicial Nominating Committee through March 6, 2023.
Are there any questions on any of those? I do have one item that I would like to have added to that consent agenda. Last week, we were presented a copy of a resolution that was passed by the state legislature, identified as, I think, Resolution 1764, dealing with human trafficking. And I would like to have that item added to our consent agenda. It will be based upon that resolution and will be rewritten to accommodate the county's position. So could I have a motion to add that item? Mr. Allen?
I'd move to add the resolution to the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded to add that resolution as properly amended to the consent agenda. Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Fast.
Aye.
Commissioner Allen.
Aye.
Commissioner Klecka.
Aye.
Commissioner Hanslick.
Aye.
Commissioner Ashcraft.
He's
Or
absent.
absent. Commissioner Brown.
Aye.
And Chairman Eilert.
Aye. So noted. Next action agenda item.
Item number 7, consider approving the January 24th, 2019 business session minutes. Commissioner Ashcraft was absent.
That will remain on action. Next item.
Item number 8, resolution number 004-19, consider declaring certain real property as unmarketable surplus and authorizing its transfer to an abutting owner after holding a public hearing on the matter. This transfer requires the unanimous approval of the board.
Mr. Ford.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Bob Ford, Legal Department. This will be a public hearing matter next week. It's a statutory and county policy procedure that requires us to take certain steps. I have to give you a little bit of a background. Got to tell a little story before I get to the point of telling you why we are here. Let me orient you on the map. The north, you're looking, top of the map is north. Highway 69 runs north and south. The Doug Smith Treatment Plant is in the bottom right-hand corner. Doubletree Hotel is to the north. That's College. Off to the left of the square box is the site where the Overland Park apartment building burnt down a couple of years ago under construction. The property that we're interested in is between, I think it's Schweitzer and then Highway 69. The funny-looking, shrimp-shaped-looking tract is the property that we are proposing be declared surplus unmarketable remnant. The property that the county owns in fee was originally acquired by KDOT in 1960 through a condemnation action. So KDOT acquired about all this property for the construction of Highway 69 as right-of-way. In 1960, they could only acquire right-of-way. They couldn't acquire the fee by statute. They didn't use this particular 3 acres to construct the highway, and it's set out there since 1960 as just open KDOT right-of-way. The county in 1979 conducted a tax foreclosure sale on this tract because the owner, the original owner who was condemned, still was shown as the title owner in the Register of Deeds office. And taxes were were assessed on that property at the time. So for about $12 in taxes, the county went ahead and held a tax sale. Nobody bid on it, of course, because it's KDOT right-of-way. So the procedure in those days were we took a sheriff's deed for this property. So since 1979, it's set out there in the county's name, but it's really KDOT right-of-way. Most recently, the abutting owner, which I think is Block Company, or a company owned by Block Company, is going to develop that property. They've gone to the city, they're doing a plat. They worked out an arrangement with KDOT for KDOT to transfer this property to them. And they were sitting down at closing to do their deal, and the title company said, well, wait a minute, we're showing Johnson County as having an interest by virtue of this 1979 tax sale. Curtis Holland from the Polzinelli firm, who's representing the owner, then contacted the county, me, and said, could you give us a quitclaim deed for this property because we're ready to close and you guys have this nominal interest? And I said, Curtis, I'd be happy to do that, but we have a process we have to go through. And it's a surplus property procedure. So I said, we can get this going, we can get it up here as fast as we can, but we have to go through the process. So that's what we're going to be doing next week, is we're going to be having that hearing. We've given notice, we've done all the steps we have to do under our procedure, but at the end of the day, it's simply KDOT right-of-way, and if we weren't involved, or even if we are involved, when KDOT vacates that right-of-way, my legal opinion is it reverts back to the abutting property owner anyway. That's what would happen if we weren't involved. And the fact that we are involved shouldn't make any difference. Okay. So anyway, that's what we're going to be talking about next week at the public hearing.
Are all members seated today going to be here next week? All right, thank you. We will need that.
Chairman?
Yes.
Bob, I'd like to have a little discussion offline on this so I better understand it, because my initial reaction is that we're dealing with, regardless how it came to us, we have 3+ acres of land. That's under, technically, however it's said, it's owned by the county.
Right.
And we're going to release that for whatever reason and turn it back. You're saying it's unmarketable. I'm basically saying as by the picture here, you give it back here, it becomes marketable. And therefore, does it not have a value? I need a little bit of conversation to understand why we should just do that and get a better understanding. I realize you're trying to suggest here that it was kind of a technical process that we basically got the property, but still it's 3 acres of land, and I just need a little bit more clarification and understanding before I just kind of pull forward on this one.
Agreed. I would agree with that, and I would like to be involved in that further conversation too.
All right. Okay, well, this requires a public hearing, so it will remain on action. Thank you, Mr. Ford. Next item.
Thank you very much.
Item number 9, Resolution 005-19. Hold a public hearing to consider a petition to create a benefit district to improve Redbird Street in the Windmills subdivision.
Good morning, Brian Pedig. This one is a lot simpler. This is a petition to create a benefit district to pave an existing residential gravel road. You might recall we did a couple of these a few years ago with great success. There's 7 lots, and all the lot owners did sign the petition, and we would guess that we will put this paving project as part of our overlay, so we'll get some really good prices for the residents.
Okay, again, this is a public hearing, so it will remain on action. Any other questions? All right, thank you. Next item.
Item number 10, application number NW-PP/FP-3434LE. Consider a request from Phelps Engineering Incorporated applicant and Tescott Investments Scott Cooper, landowner, for preliminary and final plat approval for 1 lot on approximately 3 acres to be known as Tescott in Section 34, Township 13, Range 22, Johnson County, located at 31825 West 135th Street.
Mr. Leipzig.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Jay Leipzig, Planning Director. Jeff Malott, our senior planner, is here as well. I wanted to walk through this case with you. This is a little more complicated than our typical planning applications that come before you. To give you some historical context on this property, this is a 3-acre parcel, an existing home with a 15-foot driveway, approximately 15-foot driveway off 135th Street. It's unpaved, so in other words, a gravel road off of 135th Street that crosses over 2 adjacent properties. And this 3-acre parcel is there is a home on it, and it does not comply with our subdivision regulations. It does not have street frontage. Is the critical issue. It is my understanding it was a deed in lieu of foreclosure, and that's how the current owner has acquired the property. So going forward on that, the staff received an application for a preliminary and final plat to attempt to remedy this property. On staff recommended denial because it's not consistent with our regulations. On October the 15th, the Northwest Zoning Board also recommended denial of the application. And then it came before the BOCC, or the Board of County Commissioners, on November the 15th, 2018. This body remanded the item back to the Northwest Zoning Board to give additional time to allow the adjacent property owners to hopefully remedy this or come up with an alternative solution. So on December the 17th, the Northwest Zoning Board met and voted to continue it, to give additional time again. So it went to the Zoning Board, Northwest Zoning Board, on January 14th. At that meeting, there was still some discussion about trying to work out an alternative agreement. The Zoning Board continued the application indefinitely. And so without a date certain. That's really the critical problem before you at this time is we've lost the chain of notification, which is very important on these planning projects, to at least when something is before the Zoning Board, to have a date certain of when it comes back forward to the board. So we don't have that. And so in your briefing sheet, there are some scenarios that kind of critical questions of how to resolve this and bring this back into conformance with the chain of notification. So the timeline is to accept planning staff recommendation, to allow up to 90 days for the Zoning Board to hear this item and make a determination, or the other alternative, which would be if it's the earliest it could be before the Zoning Board would be at the March 18th meeting, which would bring it before the Board of County Commissioners in April 18th of 2019. The other alternative would be to have the Board of County Commissioners go through the notification and bring the item directly to the Board of County Commissioners, which would, by the time we went through our publication process, it could be before the board on March 21st of 2019. The applicant wants to see this decided as quickly as possible, and I believe when they come next week, we'll want to request from the board that it be brought as soon as possible, which would be the March 19th date.
So the staff recommendation is what?
Staff recommendation is to bring it back to the Zoning Board. We put in there 90 days just to see if there's some alternative that could be developed with another agreement. However, additional discussions with staff, it does not appear that an agreement is really, I don't know how possible that is. I know there's been a lot of discussion about that, a lot of attempts to get some kind of agreement to at least to provide access in the future if those lots are developed, but that has not happened, sir.
Okay, all right. Questions? Okay, yes.
Mr. Chairman, this is just kind of a bit of philosophical. I realize that there's varying parties here, and it just seems like I've seen something very similar happen a few months ago in my district. I'd like to see this thing come before the board and get resolved either up or down. I think it's unfair to have this thing dragged out for as long as it is with the hope of some type of compromise. And the planning board or zoning board right now has an indefinite continuance on it. I think it's only fair to the constituent in this case that we try to come to some resolution one way or another. I don't know, Commissioner Brown, it's in your district, so I don't know how you see it.
Well, I would simply interject this. The only way there's going to be an agreement on this is for the parties to come to an agreement. I don't see any way that the commission can make a finding and approve any aspect of this because of all the conditions involved. So my viewpoint is if the abutting property owners cannot come to agreement, that's their judgment. I don't see any way that the Board of County Commissioners can make a judgment about this property without creating liability, future liability for county taxpayers. So anyway, we will discuss it more fully. This is a planning item, will remain on action. Next item.
Item number 11, consider adopting the 2019 Johnson County Federal Legislative Platform.
Ms. Green.
Chairman and Commissioners, Cindy Green from County Manager's Office. You have in front of you our legislative platform, of which we made several changes from last year, and I'd be happy to go over those that we are recommending compared to last year, if that's all right with the Chair.
That'll be fine.
Okay. First one is the items that we deleted. We deleted the Water Quality Improvement Act of 2017 because this was signed into law by the President on January 14th of this year. And similar, the Second Chance Reauthorization Act of 2017, that was added into another bill that was in front of the President for signature, and so we are eliminating that. And then there was a section on the federal aviation air traffic control. It did not pass, but it is not something that will come up for another 2 years, so we're going to eliminate it from this platform. The issues that we added, the first one is on page 5. It's the Discounts Safe Harbor Act. And this is in regards to rebates on prescription drugs. The administration is proposing elimination of this. Our drug plan annual cost is about $12.5 million, and the county rebate is approximately $1 million, so that would be a potential loss to the county if that went into effect. And then in regards to the wastewater management program, we just edited some of the language that was in the platform, giving the example of Gardner Lake and how we used it to gain state revolving funds loan to help with those water problems out there. The other one that was added on pages 8 and 9 is in regard to intellectual and developmental disabilities. And this is just asking for strengthening of the Medicaid funded system there. And then secondly, also supporting that they address the professional workforce shortage in regards to those that work with the IDD population. And then the other one was on page 9 in regards to the federal housing and urban development assistance. We made a little bit of tweaks to this language that allowed us to have more flexibility with the community block development grant. And the document that we sent and is in your packet, I have one more change that needs to be made to that we will make before next week, but it's on line 7 on page 9 of the section about federal housing. They have the word social services limit in there, and it should have been public services. So we'd like to update that language before we bring it to you for approval next week if you are so inclined, and if you have any other comments or additions.
Other questions? We did review this at our study session last week, so all right, thank you very much. Are there any other items to be reviewed?
No, sir.
All right, that concludes our agenda review for next week. We are adjourned from that session. We will need to reset our executive session, and we will probably have to run into the study session for about 15 minutes. So, Mr. Allen?
I move that the board recess its open meeting and convene an executive session at approximately 10:52 a.m. for a period of 15 minutes for the purpose of receiving the advice of counsel and to preserve attorney-client privilege, and to reconvene an open session in this room at approximately 11:07 a.m. or soon thereafter as the executive session may end.
All right, the motion has been made and seconded in regards to the executive session. Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Fast.
Aye.
Commissioner Allen.
Aye.
Commissioner Klicka.
Aye.
Commissioner Hanslick.
Aye.
Commissioner Brown.
Aye.
And Chairman Eilert.
Aye. Motion carried. We continue in recess from our regular business session. Our executive session will be immediately in the conference room.